Did it.
What's up, everybody? Sean here with another live Live to Roll. This week we're talking about finding your passion in life, especially after a spinal cord injury or any trauma in your life, anything like that. So, you guys know me. I'll do a quick intro. Sean, I'm a C5, C6 quad from a snowboarding accident almost 17 years ago now. So, Tom, you want to go real quick?
Yeah, sure. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Happy New Year. Happy 2021. For everyone out there trying to bring in some new positivity into the new year. I'm Tom Conaway.
Yeah.
Thanks again for everyone who's rejoined us. Thank you for the new viewers out there. And let's bring it to our main guest. Cesar, you mind taking a minute to introduce yourself, bro?
Of course, brother. What's going on, guys? This is Cesar, also known as KC Beast. I am a C5 quad. I was injured about 5 years ago in a car accident. So I'm not as much of an OG as these fellas, but I kind of feel like I fall into the category of like the camp counselor. I guess that's what you call me.
Hey, yo, 5 years is a long time to be living the life, man. So.
5 years
Flies
is, yeah,
by,
that's where
right?
you're starting to hit your mark right there. That's when you start to get in your stride. Like, you start to
Yeah.
like really
I feel
like
like I'm still
figure
getting
stuff
there.
out.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
But
funny
yeah,
though.
man,
I feel like I'm still finding my stride like 24 years later into this thing. But that's how it is sometimes.
Just keep
that's
moving,
true,
right?
man. It takes a while sometimes, bro. And that's actually what one of the things we're going to talk about today is, like finding your passion, just finding things that you truly enjoy in life, things that bring you happiness, like
Of
I mean
course.
that's essentially what we're talking about. And it's just a great topic for the new year. People are making resolutions, trying to get into new things. Everyone wants to start fresh. So, we'll
Yeah.
talk
A lot of
about
change for a lot of people. So, a lot of our
definitely a
old
lot of
activities and
change.
passions, some of them are just aren't available to us, the ones that involve groups or, like public
That's
spaces. So, some people have to, really get creative out there and try to discover some new things that can get them going. But
Yeah.
let's like start with, our main guest here, Caesar, dude.
So
What
so
what is your
more
passion in life, man?
so more than anything, brother, I think what I found is, for me, my passion is helping people, inspiring people, and I found different ways to do that. Post and pre-injury, So before my accident, I was full-time student. I was working at Olive Garden full-time as well as a server, and I was making music, doing shows all throughout Southern California. Now, I've performed with people like Currency. I've performed with names like Pac Div. I performed under Warren G. I performed with Fora. He's a young kid coming up
Yeah.
right now. I have a lot of names that I performed with, and like before my accident, I thought, yo, I was the next name up, right? So everything was kind of on its way. Things felt like a movie. But I think life sometimes has different opportunities for you to grow as a person, and I think that's what it gave me. So the first thing I want to say too is, not everything is a, one size fits all process. My process was, if you ask me, it was perfect timing, but for some others, it could have been, a lot longer. It took me maybe 3 years to get out of my shell completely and just get back into, the groove.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean, it is a crazy thing, and I mean, it shakes you to your core, right? You have
yeah,
to you have to remake yourself a little bit, like you have to rediscover, your
yeah,
identity a little bit because you do lose. I mean, we talk about it on the show a lot. I mean, it's a significant loss. I mean, it's like physical part of ourselves that is
literally,
taken away. I mean, it's like a grieving process, right?
yeah.
So, what was that process like for you, man? Like going from being in school to, like doing all these shows and like working and living this like full on
Bro,
life to
I
like
thought
have
I was
breaks.
untouchable, And that's the one thing that I think, when you're young and dumb and foolish, as they say, you
uh,
realize later on, like, you're not untouchable, but you can touch people in different ways through your untouchability or whatever. So early on, okay, so my accident happened. It happened super late at night. I got rushed into the ER, and as I got rushed into the ER, um, pretty much they said, your son's gonna be a vegetable. They told my mom that. They told my brother that. They were pretty much given the worst prognosis ever. I remember this like it was yesterday, and I remember specifically the what is it, the respiratory therapist, like the head doctor. He told the surgeon, he's like, you need to wait on this surgery because if you do this surgery, this boy's lungs are going to collapse. So sure enough, they did the surgery the next day. Boom, my lungs collapsed. So they put me on a trach, emergency surgery right after that. I ended up catching pneumonia twice. Lungs collapsed again throughout the process, and it was, it was tough thinking like, yo, I use my voice every day to create, and now here I am on this hospital bed, and I can't say anything. You know, as as you guys probably know, like when you're on a trach, you can barely talk. You're whispering. You're kind of you're gasping for air. The machine's always going off, and here I am, 23 years old, and I'm thinking, man, how am I gonna find my voice again? How am I gonna find this passion? And it sounds so corny, but it's crazy. I think the corniest things in life are probably some of the most beautiful because, when you cry when a sad movie happens or whatever, or you end up doing this. Like, so for me, I was laying on my deathbed, quote unquote, and I was just playing this song in my head over and over again. And it's this song by this artist called The Game. It's called Dreams. And in the song, he goes, I woke up from that coma 2001. About the same time Dre dropped 2001. And I just kept replaying that in my head. Like, just, I woke up out that coma 2000. And that song literally kept me alive because I was able to feed off that energy. And then from there, little by little, get my strength back. And what I'm leading to is I found my voice a little later. It took over a year to regain the ability to just breathe properly, to like hold this conversation the way I am now with you. This would have been unheard of my first 2 to 3 years. I would have been gasping for air even more. Luckily, my lightheaded day was yesterday, so today I'm not too lightheaded, and I feel pretty good. Because as you guys know, occasionally it doesn't matter how far you've come, it just hits you like a ton of bricks again, and that's kind of like what I'm like, where I'm at now. So luckily, I figured out a way to work on music and create music, and to use my voice again after my injury. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome,
Yeah,
man.
dude, that was a really scary thing for me. I was injured as a child. I was 4 years old when I first got injured, but in my accident, I also split my mandible in half. So my jaw, they had to wire my jaw shut, and I was tricked up. So I like couldn't like,
Kanye experience right there. That's through the
I was like,
wire.
that's a wired shut. Exactly. I was like going through the wire, bro.
Yeah.
Nothing was coming out, man. And it was crazy because I was lying there, like, people were talking to me and I was young, so I wasn't really understanding what they were saying. But I remember like that feeling and not being able to like communicate myself or ask questions or ask for help or anything. And I mean, I can't imagine how much more difficult as an adult, like having found your voice and like been your thing, then to lose that and experience it, it must have been very profound. But like you said, it is sometimes like those, like the script flips, you get to see the other side of the coin, man, and that different
Yeah.
perspective opens your mind in ways, otherwise you would have never been able to see, that other way, that there are other ways outside of maybe your voice that you could affect or change the world and stuff like that, or, maybe recognize how important it is, and like take it, like more for granted, whatever it may be. It's incredible, those profound experiences, the perspective shift it can open up for you. So that's some really cool
Yeah.
stuff.
I agree, brother. I agree 100%. I think I've been lucky enough to like another huge thing for me is my support system has been so strong since the beginning. I had my girlfriend early on as well. She and my mother did an amazing job. My grandmother, who I call my mother, that and I call my mom like by her first name, and I call my grandmother by her, like by mom. It's like a Latin thing. Um, everybody's kind of like everybody's cousin, right? So with that being said, like my grandmother has been the best thing ever. Her and my girlfriend, they were able to legit rehab me early on and get me back to a space to where I can even fathom the idea of not just making music, but focusing all my energy back into school and to finish what I promised myself I'd start. Um, it's just what so like right now I'm graduating from CSUN with my bachelor's, and I'll have a bachelor's in psychology with the focus
He's
on
done a
clinical.
lot right here, dude.
Hey, Matadors, baby. I've never been to a game or anything, but either way.
Hey, no, it's awesome, man. Like I love it. Like I always like want to represent Cesar, dude, because I'm a fellow Matador, so I'm about it.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. Um,
Yeah,
What's your
that's
degree in, dude?
Psychology. So I'm a psych major with a focus on clinical research. So now my passion is obviously shifted. I'm still making music and I still do that full time. But I do that more for me now more than anything, and I put it out and I still allow people to participate in my art by just viewing it and whatnot. But I strongly believe that my purpose has shifted into helping a bigger portion of the world right now. So where I'm able to use my injury, as a focus point to help people with spinal cord injuries. Right now, we have really little research on a clinical basis when it comes to mental health post injury and how we can help people post injury through impacting their mental health and just learning how to influence behavior by helping people shape themselves again.
Huge, huge, important,
that's awesome.
incredible topic that needs to be addressed. Like most people are getting booted out of the hospital, like 2 to 4 weeks after their injury with no,
Yeah, that's
like
standard.
physical like follow up outside like PT or anything, like no psych follow up. I mean, it
Yeah,
is just absolutely insane. And the depression and the trauma and the post traumatic stress that follows,
yeah,
some of these incidences, just a trauma like that is profound and everyone goes through it
yeah.
and it needs to be addressed, dude. So the fact that you just brought that up and that's what you're passionate about, man, that's really really cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that's
shifted.
amazing, man.
I think the biggest thing that I've learned more than anything too is just that you're allowed to switch up what you want to do, and you're allowed to stay focused. If this is what you want to do, regardless, like that doesn't mean that I've given up on any of my dreams. That just means that I'm creating for me, and I'm still thinking of like how can I contribute to the world on a mass level, rather than just because I mean, my music before my accident it was good. I think my voice was good too, but I think the substance wasn't the same as what it is now, and that's a testament to my storyline and what I've seen now. So I'm allowed to share that with people, but I'm also like, how can I help people on a general level now? What could I do? Because that's the hardest part, right? What's your contribution? As just being people in wheelchairs, half the time, half the battle is like, yo, what am I doing? Because I'm just sitting here,
Yeah.
you know, like
Hey,
what?
for real though, man. I mean, it's crazy that you talk about it. I mean, you're sitting there, but you are rediscovering your passions. You are rediscovering music, but it's different. Like you may not be able to spit into a mic, like as long as like
Exactly.
well as you could before because your diaphragm just cannot function the same way that it did. But that
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're not working to getting back there. Like you said, this conversation wouldn't have been possible a year and a half ago. But here you are, like having this conversation now. Like who knows what you're going to be capable of in a year and a half. I mean, we
Yeah.
had this guy Toby on just last week, and he does perform and he does live shows as a
Yeah,
quad, in power
That's
chair,
awesome.
C5, C6 quad. He was singing for like hour, out there just like belting, and it impresses me, man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like I like to think I got like pretty good, like orating ability, but man, oh man, like he just puts me to shame.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think
Honestly, that would be so hard to do. I feel like to be able to for like an hour plus time. But yeah, Toby does it. And I'm sure you could do it, Caesar, too, if you end up wanting to
You know,
perform
you,
again.
you know what I had to exactly. You know what I had to get my mind wrapped around. And I think I've kind of come to that conclusion now. I think it's just the setting has to be more intimate for me to perform now. Because before, I could
Yeah,
distract you by jumping around a little. I could distract you by being big and muscular, tall, whatever you want to say.
yeah.
Like I could distract you, but now it's like you're no longer distracted. Now you're focused completely, and I have to be even better. I think, which is it kind of it's a beautiful thing, and I think it's another part of the conversation where like you got to find passion in the journey, in the struggle, whatever that is for you. You have to find the ability to like the small wins, count them. Have you guys seen the movie Soul? Have you guys seen
I
the movie
haven't
yet?
watched it yet. I really
Bro, you
want to
gotta
watch
watch.
it.
You have to watch Soul.
it's
Soul's an
amazing.
amazing
If anybody out there has Disney Plus, get on it.
man. It's so good. It's so good,
Yeah,
and it has
Yeah.
has a lot to do with this topic where it's like you think this is who you are your whole life, I'm not gonna say this person's name. I have a friend who's a quad. He lives in a different country. I love this guy to death. He's a really cool dude. And he was a little older than me, anyways. A lot older than me when he got injured. He's about, I think, 37, 36 right now, but he was like 34 when he got injured, right? And for him, he has a lot more of a a down, just nature about him because of his injury. And I think that's a testament to what he did before, because what he had a passion for was fighting. So he used his body a lot more in a physical aspect, to where now obviously he's a C4 quad, so he has a lot less function with his body. But I've been just trying to help him refigure out how he can contribute to the world, because it's because you find something so early on and you lose it. It has to be hard. I think just refiguring out your pieces, it doesn't mean it's an end all be all, and you should never look at anything that way in life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, something like fighting, though. I mean, I hate to put comparisons on stuff, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, you can sit there at a computer nowadays and like mix samples
Yeah,
together.
it's tough. It's
Just
so
fit
tough.
your microphone, inches away from your face, and like rediscover something like that. I mean, it'd be hard to step into the ring again as a C4
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But that being said, maybe he could find a different capacity in coaching or training, or
That's what I was exactly gonna say. That's
Exactly.
I mean, maybe he becomes a sports writer, or he becomes an announcer, and he just talks about it because that is his passion, and he just can talk about it with an energy and love and enthusiasm that isn't found in other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
agree 100%.
yeah. That's
think
exactly
that's
it.
And dude, Cesar, I did want to touch on earlier, man. Music's a big part of my life. I am not a maker of music. I don't have that talent in my brain, but
Yeah.
I love to listen to it. I listen to music hours and hours and hours every day. Huge hip hop head, man. Like Currency, Warren G. About it, dude. I listen to
Yeah.
those guys, so that's awesome that you perform with them and stuff. But I found that my my psyche,
Yeah.
music can affect, my psychology a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
if I'm feeling down, if I'm having a bad day or whatever, and I can put on some Pac or something to, just give me some perspective, or listen to some cool rhymes that just lift me up and make me feel good. You know what I mean? Like
Speaking
it
of
can
Pac,
change.
let me just show the shirt
You
real
know,
fast. Speaking of Pac.
there we go, man.
Hold on.
Absolutely, dude. But
Go back, Caesar. My bad. I didn't. I had Tom on it. All right, there we go.
There you
I got thrown.
Uh,
Fox record label. But um, it, I think they go hand in hand, or they can nail that very well. For me, and just talking about my passions a little bit. I was really big into film for a long time, and I wanted to big into film and nature. I love to go out. My dad, early in the morning, get out into nature and film wildlife, and it's that was our thing. It was wildlife cinematography, and I had this dream and passion of become a National Geographic
Yeah.
cinematographer, doing that Nat Geo Discovery Channel stuff. And that was my thing, and I really dove into it and delved into it. And I was injured when I was a child, so I developed my passions along with, I think, learning and discovering my disabilities. So my experience is probably a little bit different than someone who maybe discovered their passion in life and had to readjust later on. I was very in line with learning how to live my life with my disability, and then discovering those passions along that journey.
Yeah.
And it turned out that, I don't know, I wanted to move to LA and enter the industry and stuff, but I couldn't physically be a grip and move the cameras and load film and do things, pay your dues, kind of a lot of Hollywood people have to do.
Yeah.
And I wasn't in a position to just move to Hollywood and have a part-time job as a waiter to do that and get into the industry and stuff. And I'm sure there's more than one way to do it, more than one way to skin a cat for sure. But at the same time, I was scared. I was I'm not gonna move from my family's home to some crazy place in LA without some game plan, some structure, And that kind of led me to going to a junior college and experiencing some different stuff and taking some different classes. And, I took a computer science class and I discovered programming and discovered and I've always been into technology, but computer science, like, was something that I had not realized was a passion of mine until I was 20 years old.
Whoa.
I hadn't
You're like, whoa, what's going on? What is this?
I didn't really thought about it. I hated math. I wasn't big into, academics and stuff like I am now. But something changed. Something clicked in me. And I felt like, man, how the heck is a quad with no finger function going to, become a programmer, learn how to type and, do all this stuff that I needed to do.
Yeah.
But it was just baby steps. It was I mean, seriously, I went and talked to a teacher about it. I'm like, do you even think this is possible for me? And he was like, this is what he told me. It was like, if it's your drive and it's your passion, you'll find a way to make it possible. It's just kind of a matter of whether or not, you have it in you to, pursue it and, to make it become your reality. And I mean, dude, 10 years later, just graduated my master's in software engineering. And,
that's amazing.
I'm so proficient on a computer, on a keyboard and stuff. I don't think about it. You know what I mean? But that, just goes to show, man. I mean,
what you prayed for yesterday isn't even a second thought today.
Everything starts as a passion, right? Something inside you, and it's that spark. And, that movie Soul, no spoilers, but everyone has to find that spark, and you don't feel it. You don't understand it until you come across it and you feel it, right?
Yeah.
But once you do, then it's a matter of taking those next steps.
Wait a minute. So
taking that passion and making it a reality.
Yeah. So my question is this too, and this one I'm going to direct towards you, Sean, too. With Live to Roll, when you started that, I mean, how did you realize, this was your move to help people,
Honestly, it started really small for me. So it just started with, I had a really unique transfer that people freaked out when I would do around them. Everybody kind of just was didn't know, even therapists and stuff, people just hadn't seen it. And I learned it from a buddy who learned it from another quad. So it's kind of just I just figured, it'd be cool to just share this with a few more people than one person at a time. So that's how it started initially. And then I got really positive feedback, and I really, I thought it was really cool that people were able, I was able to teach somebody else how to do something that was helping them in their life. And so that just kind of sparked in me, oh, I'll try to teach people all the stuff that maybe it can help other people do other things, and it just sort of because I'll be honest, when I first got hurt, before my injury, my passion was I was an extreme sport. I grew up skating, snowboarding, wakeboarding. Dude, I loved extreme sport type of stuff. Adrenaline junkie. I loved anything that had to do with going fast, to getting air. So obviously, that wasn't going to be too possible after my injury. It's as a quad, I was going to be pretty limited on going, doing a lot of that kind of stuff. So I took, yeah. So I actually, what I did? I took my challenge, I took my injury and my rehab as my extreme sport that I became passionate about. I literally took rehab and I became passionate about getting stronger and rehabbing and doing more for myself. I would relish the time I had by myself sometime, because I would challenge myself to do things I didn't like doing it when people were around, because they would try to help me, or I'd feel weird struggling in front of people. So I would just sit there by myself and I became really passionate about that. And then eventually, once I kind of got it, I started finding other things, which rugby, and just that kind of became my extreme sport. I was I found another outlet that I could excel at and get stronger and do things. So really, that's just that was my sort of thing in the beginning, and that's what helped me. And I really did take rehab as I became passionate about it and took it as my new sport of choice.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna get good
Well,
at it.
that's a great point, and I think I did the exact same thing that you said. For me, I was obsessed right away. Like that's all I was like, I'm gonna walk again. I'm gonna walk again. I'm gonna walk again. I don't care. Forget anybody. I don't care what anybody says. I'm gonna walk again. Tomorrow it's gonna happen. If not tomorrow, the next day. And don't get me wrong, I still want to walk again. Like, I think anybody you can. I don't know. If somebody in the wheelchair tells me like, no, I don't want to walk again. I'm like, brother, you might have never walked because walking is fun. Like you can't tell
Fucking
me it's not fun.
fun.
So with that being said, maybe I do, but I also like I found passion early on in just the thought, like you said, of just working out physically and learning more about myself and gaining more independence, doing things now. Or like now I put myself to bed. I don't have to call nobody. Like, hey, come help me get into bed. Come help me do this. I can drive now. I don't have my car yet, but I can drive now.
Heck
You
yeah.
know, and it's huge, right? Like these little wins that we're getting.
So freaking huge, dude. See, that's what I mean, though. It's the little wins, man. So it's funny. My passion for rehab didn't start until like almost, I think, like 12 or 13 years after my injury.
Yeah, but you were a kid though, so I think it's understandable.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
different.
definitely. But when that adulthood hit and like
Yeah,
moving out, and, like living life, like became like, part of my reality, like that's what sparked that passion for me. And it absolutely became a passion, man, because it was exercise, it was dieting, it was like, like every day dedicating, like hours to, transferring and, like learning these skills to, be independent and to, live my life and move my life. And,
yeah,
uh, like it's still, I mean, I've been doing it for, gosh, like decade now. And I'm still learning every freaking day, it feels like.
yeah,
But, it's one of those things, if you move like a cup of sand every day, just one cup, I mean, that's all you can do. I mean, it
yeah,
may not feel like a lot, but after 10 years of doing that every day, you're going to have a freaking mountain of that stuff. You know what I mean? And it's
Exactly.
just those small little wins. And,
boom,
it's so hard to look 10 years in the future, but man, oh man, like you're going to get there and you're going to feel it along the way and you're going to feel those milestones and it's going to help you carry forward. And I mean, it really, really is like profound, those little baby steps, those small little wins
yeah.
make for yourself. And sometimes, we don't win and we lose. And
Yeah.
it's that feeling of
You're like,
like
damn it.
one step forward, 10 steps back, like you miss your transfer and you end up like hurting yourself and you like down and
Yeah,
out, a couple months and you lose that strength and stuff. Like that stuff
bro.
happens, dude.
I'm
All
six
get the
three and totally was an emotional wreck early on. I used to mess up and start crying and be like, oh, I'm never gonna get like I used to
yeah,
literally feel that way at times, and
yeah,
I used to have to get over myself and be like, stop being a little bee and handle it. Like make it happen. Whatever it takes, get there, and you will, and you
dude,
will.
That's good.
absolutely. Absolutely. I can relate to that so much because like I've broken down to sometimes like I'm like sorry for myself. Sometimes I think it's perfectly acceptable too. Like
Yeah.
shit. Like sometimes like I am a little bitch, man. I'm just like I'm down and out. I'm hurting. I'm like I need some
Yeah.
freaking support. But at the end of the day, usually, you just gotta tell yourself like, hey, like you got that strength. It's
Yeah.
inside. You just gotta like reach down a little deeper and find it.
Give
And that's
yourself a moment. That's
the
the thing. You give yourself a moment, but you don't live there, and that's something somebody told me early on. You can be sad for a second, but make sure you tell yourself this is your time limit to be sad. And if it's a day, tell yourself I have today to be sad, but by tomorrow you wake up. If it's an
Yeah,
hour,
love
whatever
that.
it is.
That's exactly it, man. That's what we've talked about that before on here too, man. Yeah, you just gotta limit yourself. Like a bad day's okay to have, like
Yeah,
you just
it's gonna
gotta
happen.
limit it at that, like, and know, flip that script, like.
This is tough for everybody, and that's the thing.
Let's
Like,
talk for a minute though, if you don't mind me. Like, should
yeah,
probably do that for a second. Like, I mean, because I've found myself in a rut that I've like, really struggling to pull myself out of,
yeah,
and it's like I have trouble setting that time limit because I just keep feeling like shit.
yeah, of
And
course.
I will like be happy to go into my like mechanisms for pulling myself out of that. But what do you guys do when you're in those ruts and you're having a hard time pulling yourself out? I mean, is it your support system you've set up for yourself? Is it your people? Do you do things? I mean, do you dive into music and like just let down the
Go
mic at it? Like, what do you do?
You want to go first, Sean? You want me to answer?
Let's
You
have
can
our
go for it.
Cool.
have a
Okay.
So, oh, you want me to go first?
for sure. No, Caesar, man. Sorry, Sean. Like you're the
Yeah,
you're
go
the
for
host.
it, Caesar. Go for it.
Yeah,
Go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so honestly, brother, I think I do a mixture of all that. I don't just like do one thing. Like there's some days where like I need my family to rely on, where I gotta talk to people. But even though like I'm a psychology major and even though I'm really big on mental health, I do the exact opposite of what most people would be like recommended to do. So like I tell myself, stop being a little like, yeah, stop focusing on what's wrong and focus on what's right. And I tell myself more than anything, look at how far you've come. And it's never always that easy. It's not like one day I'm like, yep, look how far you've come, it's over, and then like all my sadness is gone, and rainbows and sunshine and clouds. Like no, it just that's not reality. It just isn't. You have to, I guess, take the punches and roll and just kind of like figure that, keep your hope in different places and don't, like I said, nothing is an end all be all. When you place weight on things and you expect too much from things and you believe that certainty is certainty, you lose value in the vagueness and the beauties in life. Like we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and that's the most beautiful thing to me. I've never been one to want to give up throughout all this because I'm always like, yo, what if tomorrow was the day that I was supposed to start walking? Like all of a sudden I gave up, and now I'm not even. Like you never really know what life is, and I think that's for me where I've always found beauty, even before this.
for sure. I love that. Like I love that idea of like waking up excited for like the mystery of the beauty of tomorrow. Like what is that gonna bring?
Yeah.
Like that is.
But you
That's
know
a
what it is?
good
I think
thought. Yeah.
we have routines a lot too. So like a lot of our routines are very boring. Like I said, I'm very lucky where like the people around me have allowed me to adapt how I want and do things my way. So I'll tell my like brother when he comes to get me, like, all right, bro, like let's go. I'm just gonna hop in the car. I'm gonna do this way, and he won't mind that. And I've gotten lucky. But I know obviously like if you don't have a big family and you have, caretakers and people who are nurses taking care of you and whatnot, I imagine that'd be a way different experience. Um, you know, and I
Or even,
think,
being in a facility. Not everyone is lucky.
yeah, bro, like that. I remember when I was at Rancho Los Amigos. I remember that literally I would talk to dudes, and I used to talk to everybody because I'm a social butterfly. So if I see you and we have anything in common, I am gonna start blabbing your ear off. And I used to just talk to dudes, and I was talking to this one guy, and he was from Guatemala. This man, probably like 45 years old. And I started talking to him in Spanish. And I'm like, where are you from? How you doing? How long you been here? And he's like, yeah, I've been here for 2 years. I I don't have papers, so they just let me stay. And that was his life. He's like, I don't have family here. I just live here. They take care of me. And as you guys know, they don't just give you your own, top floor suite. It's you and five other people in a room, all using the restroom at different times together in the same room, all showering at different times in the same general area,
Yeah.
all having to deal with whatever's going on with each other. So if one of you sick, you're all sick, and that to me has to be you know sad. But I think I don't know. Is it better than being dead? I'd hope so, right? I'd hope so. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would like just want to say out there, anything better than being dead. Anybody out there
You
feeling
can
any
still
dark
find
thoughts?
joy in life, like
Anything.
there's still things.
There's always stuff out there. There's
Have
always
to,
some
have
spark.
to.
There's always some stuff. And I do want to shout out Rancho Los Amigos because they're an
Love
incredible
Rancho.
facility, and they do a lot of amazing stuff for a lot of people.
Getting in
Um,
there was like winning the lottery. When I was at my first hospital, we literally had to tell the hospital, we're like, "Hey guys, we're not leaving. Send us the Rancho." And they were like, "All right, we got to get this kid in the Rancho because he said he's not leaving." So,
and that's great. It's incredible rehab. Now, someone in the situation like the guy you described,
yeah,
being in a different country, where you're not even a native language speaker, no nobody no family, no friends. This is where you hope that the system can step in and there are social workers and advocates that can help this individual recover, rehabilitate, and get back home, or get to a more stable, like functional, like location. I don't like to talk about social topics too much on here and keep it as PC as possible. But it's a staple of a functioning society. I think is being able to take care of people in those situations. And it's sad that there are a lot of people out there are struggling on their own. But I do know that there are a lot of people who are helping out and stuff. And I
yeah,
think Bobby like works at Rancho, right?
Yeah,
Um,
Bobby does work at Rancho.
I know for a fact that people like Bobby, out there like helping individuals like that every day and
Boom.
making taking care of and making sure that they have people in their lives that providing happiness and love and like getting them to where they need to be. And I think that's the responsibility of like all of us as human beings to help out our fellow brother and sister, mankind. Like you said, dude, Caesar, you just were having a conversation with this guy because you're social and you like spoke the same language and you like had a real human conversation with him. And that can mean the world to someone who's feeling alone at that time. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It can just be a smile, a hello, and like
Yeah.
small conversation. Whatever it is, it can be very meaningful to people out there. So I think it's super important to remember that. You don't have to do a lot to sometimes make a big difference in someone's world.
Yeah.
For sure.
I
But
think
Sean,
find value in that too. I mean, it's just even though he, might not have had the best situation, like I said, who knows, tomorrow won't be better, and that's my biggest reason for me, anyways. I think other people, it's all like I said, it's not a one size fits all thing. You kind of have to, pick out of all of the positive things that you can do for yourself.
yeah.
You just kind of go from there.
Heck yeah, man. No doubt, dude. Um,
For sure.
Sean, I did want to run that question back to you, dude, because I think it's important, and I like to hear the different perspectives on people. When you're feeling funky and you're feeling down, man, what do you do? What helps pull you out of that?
For me, yeah, if I'm in like just a funk and just having one of those days, and to be honest, this morning I kind of woke up with a bad attitude and just not feeling awesome. Just, I don't know. I just was feeling irritable and things, like just having one of those days, just like, and then like
Yeah.
had my bowel stuff and just was like, just
Yeah,
not
deal with
feeling
that.
great. Like, so like, and on days like that, like on it's like, so like today, it helped just talking to you guys, like before we even got on here, just jumping on, hanging out, talking to you, like
Yeah.
Caesar and Tom, like
Yeah.
just chill. Like honestly, for me, just that social interaction, like really helps. Like, so if I'm feeling down, like talking to somebody really helps. Like calling a
Huge.
friend, getting on the Triumph support group sometimes will do it for me. Like if I'm feeling down, I'm like, oh my God, like I'll jump onto our Triumph groups, like with Caesar, if you ever want to jump on, we can. And if anybody in the chat wants to
And
jump on,
join the
we can
group.
get
There's
you
like
guys the
groups
links.
happening every week.
We
Send the
mention
link.
those
What is,
all the
what is
time.
it on? Is it on like Discord? What is it?
On
They're
Zoom.
on Zoom
Okay.
actually, so they're private like conversations. Some private between the people that are in there,
Yeah.
and you just have to
And it's
ask
all
for the
free.
link.
You have to have the
But
software. You can sign up on the Triumph mailing list to get email reminders, and the
I
link
love
is.
Triumph. They're amazing.
yeah,
And
Triumph is
They,
so
amazing. So
I'm so glad that you said that, Sean, because that like is a big one for me too. Like
huge.
on days when I would feel funky and I'd be having a hard time, I could like go to group and talk to my choir homies, my camp homies, like the people that really truly understand the struggles that I'm
Yeah.
going through today
But
and right now.
that's what
Like
quarantine kind of messed up, right? Because like it's harder to
it
do
did.
so. It's way harder
Yeah,
to do so.
yeah, it makes it a lot
yeah,
harder. And
for
like the
sure.
virtual, it's nice, it helps for sure, but it is a lot. I do prefer, like, like, I like talking to people and like in person and meeting people and hanging out and like,
Yeah.
getting that real like camaraderie and like just building relationships with people and stuff. So like it's definitely been harder on here, but that honestly still does help me. Like if I'm in a funk or whatever, just talking to somebody really is like so helpful sometimes. Like, and sometimes that's hard to do in the beginning because like you're in a funk and you're kind of pissed and it's like I don't even want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
But like if you get lucky enough to where you have
You guys
somebody
don't know
call
my
you or
pain,
something,
even though you've been through the exact same thing that I went through.
yeah,
You have no idea how I feel.
exactly, man. So it's just like you're just sometimes in that like it's hard to get there, but
I
like it
always
does.
play that game though with people who like my family members and stuff. I'm like, you don't understand. I don't want to talk to you when they may not understand, but like they're the closest people with like the most love and empathy for my situation and could probably understand me, more than
Yeah.
anybody else. So, like I get lost in that like a little bit too, but I always catch myself like that is such a, like a shitty thing, Tom. Like, don't do that because like it's not fair because they do understand.
Pain is
If
pain.
not, if not the same way, like they got a different perspective on the situation, and sometimes that's exactly what I needed, you know.
I
And I
think
do want to shout out a couple people in the chat with
I get
like what they do. Brianna, amazing
Yeah.
co-host of the female show. Change your routine, absolutely. If you're not feeling good doing what you're doing, do some of the things
yep.
that you know make you feel good, and do them until you're feeling different or feeling better. You know, my dad taught me this. Shout out Doug Conway if you're out there listening. He told me this mechanism. You know, if you're feeling funky or feeling down, like if you're feeling hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, you need to take that acronym and halt and stop what you're doing and change what you're doing. You
Yeah.
know, sometimes you need to just isolate and give yourself a break, stop whatever it is that you're doing. Sometimes you need to just start doing something else. But whatever it is, you just need to stop, you need to halt and,
Yep.
you know, change something, fix something. And dude, like I tell that to myself all the time. Like I stop and I do my check. Like, am I hungry? Am I lonely? Am I feeling angry? Am I feeling tired? If I am feeling one or more of those things, I need to stop what I'm doing and recalibrate a little bit and like try to fix some of them or just like change what I'm doing because it's not feeling good and I'm gonna do something bad or say something I don't want to say or like do something that's like not gonna make me feel good, you know?
Yeah.
So I
Dude,
think
it's funny
that's
how much just something like being tired or hungry, or for me sometimes being cold, will make me so much more irritable and in a bad mood, and just like, I just don't even talk like like you're just like this littlest thing, and you just can change some one minor thing, just eat a snack, do like take like a break, like,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
it can get you out of that.
a big thing that I think we get lost in a little bit too sometimes is what we deal with a lot is pain.
Yeah.
Pain can make you very irritable and make you very callous and you get cold. I think to people, at least it can for me, and I know it can for some other people that I've interacted with. But that's a hard one because pain isn't always an easy thing to solve, and
If it's
it's not
physical too, like if it's a UTI and you're just feeling that pressure, it's hard.
exactly
It's
so
hard to be happy and shake that. It
that's
just is.
Yeah, it
and
is.
that's where sometimes the people around you can learn to like understand like I'm gonna be grumpy, I'm gonna be having a hard time, like just be with me, I'm
Yep.
gonna do my best
Understand me.
not
Understand me.
like shade like throw that shade towards you, but don't have this expectation of like me
Ooh.
wearing that smile and feeling good because right now I can't, and that's okay, like it's
Yeah.
perfect fine, like I'm gonna watch a movie and snuggle up and be miserable. Like, give me some ice cream if you can. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think also getting people around you who understand you, that's huge. And I think that's what kind of where you're getting at, Tom, which is if you're my
Yeah.
friend, you should know like, man, this kid isn't attacking me. This is my friend. He just annoyed right now, and he knows that.
Yeah,
Or if you're somebody who means anything to me, I think you should be able to like understand that words sometimes they're expressed improperly. Because I think I try to do the same thing when people when people might not say whatever I like or might not do what I like. I try to analyze their behavior the same way. Like, what, maybe they weren't feeling this way. Maybe they were going through a tough day. Maybe they were hungry, like you said. It's all relative.
yeah, yo, awesome statement right there, dude. I love it. Shout out Crip Life. He's dipping out right now. Just said he appreciate us. Appreciate
Crip
you
life, you
Yeah.
already know.
coming back every week,
Hey,
dude.
I sent you out your prizes too, and everybody. I actually sent all the
Heck yeah,
prizes out to the winners for our game show a couple weeks ago. Just so you know, Crip Life, it's in the mail.
that's
Awesome.
dope.
Awesome. Well, thanks for like letting me segue for a minute, you guys, with that. It's just such an important thing, and
Yeah,
like the thing that trips me out about it is like I still get funky, like 28 years old, like paralyzed, 24 years and stuff, and I mean this stuff still brings me down,
oh,
and I've gotten a lot better at dealing with it, because I used to not deal with it so well, and a big part of that is joining the spinal cord injury community and talking to, other Crips and, learning how they deal with it, like learning from them and learning and growing myself.
yeah,
And, it's, I think a very, very huge skill you can learn is like handling those darker times, in a healthier way.
yeah. Don't
Because
take it out on the people that you
I
need.
just know so many people that can like
Yeah.
I'm a victim of it too. Like where I'll just get self-destructive and I'll stop taking care of myself and like I'll lash out and stuff and it's just, I mean, it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah.
And I still do it sometimes, but thankfully, people like Cesar and Sean out here, help remind me,
I
in
mean,
those
you guys
times.
inspire me the same way, bro. Which is like I look for avenues of support through everything, whether it's a line in a song. I feel like for me, I mean, I don't want to get religious either. Whether you believe in God or the universe, whatever it is that you believe in, I believe in something, and I believe that it's always talking to me. God is always talking to me. The universe is always talking to me. It's always telling me, "Hey, this is what you are doing," and if I pay attention, I'll always have the ability to understand that deeper voice. And whether it's reading a sign that says "Don't give up," and then ignoring the part at the bottom where it says "Call us for these pills," like like it's okay to see like the vagueness and like they said the corniness in life and be like, you know what, I can take and pick what I need because that's what we need to do to move
That's
forward
good.
at all times.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
good, man. That's good. That's good advice, actually, dude.
yeah,
Take
dude,
what
go ahead, Sean.
I was gonna say. Yeah, just take like that's. I really like that quote. Like just like you see that sign, like you take the good part. You take the message that you want to take, the positive
Yeah,
message, and run with it. You don't gotta like yeah, dude. And it's important to see
obviously
the
they're trying to
positive.
sell
I think
something to
too.
me. Like,
Always try
yeah,
to see the positive in something. But yeah,
yeah,
go ahead, Tom. Sorry.
Well, dude, I'm just gonna keep going off what you're saying, man. It's just like that is a learned skill. Like learning to see the glass half full instead of half empty. And if you've been
yeah,
seeing it half empty for a long time, like it's just how your brain, it's kind of like programmed. It's like easy for it to switch to that mode. And learning to switch it the other way is, like it's something you gotta learn. It's something you gotta change about yourself. And it's like it's not something you can like succeed at every time either. Like because life kicks. And especially if you're a quad or a para, out there living with a disability like this, like sometimes it can kick harder than normal, and it's not
yeah.
always you can't always see it half full in that moment. At that time, it may take some time to see the positives shining through whatever that situation is. Because um, like it can be crazy, but the important thing is to just still be able to like see that positive when it does shine through, and, like
Yeah.
not get lost in that negative void, which can be very, very hard to pull yourself out of sometimes.
Yeah, I got a really good example of that. I remember my first year after getting injured, I was it was 4th of July. So that's how I always mark this day, right? This is my first 4th of July back home after being injured and I was really down that day. As you guys know, holidays are always a little tougher. Now not so much for me, but they were initially. They were really really tough for the first 3 years because I was always expecting it to be like, this moment of like, oh, by this point I'm walking again or by this point I'm doing this, right? And I just remember my first 4th of July. I I got this urge, and I got this like this feeling where I was like, man, my I'm getting a little goosebumpy. I'm sweating a little bit, and I'm like, what is this? And then I look to the side, and I tell my girlfriend, I say, I think I have to pee. And she's like, what do you mean? The fireworks are happening. There's no way you can pee right now. And I'm like, I think I have to pee. I piss all over myself. Literally, I pee all over myself. And I'm sitting there and I'm all depressed. And I'm like, man, this is terrible. Dude, I come to realize that's my signal.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
now I don't catheterize anymore. Now I literally I just know when I have to pee. And I might catheterize like once every year if I have a UTI and I'm not releasing or voiding properly. But for the most part, 99% of the time, I run to the bathroom if I'm somewhere out in public, or I have a leg bag on or whatever, or I just find the urinal and I call it the bucket. So that's like that's like Kiefer. I gotta pick up like, yo, grab me the bucket. I'll send it to
Yeah,
anybody who's near me. Uh,
yeah.
and,
Talk to the urinal. I like the little code name for it. Give me the bucket.
That's in the bucket, bro. And that's kind of like you have to realize like what you might see as negative at first might be one of the most positive things ever eventually because if I would have been like, I don't ever want to pay attention to this, I wouldn't have known that was my signal. Maybe, I
No,
mean,
no, dude, because I get that same like tingly feeling
Yeah.
and like that cold sweat when I like my bladder, like I gotta pee, and I
yeah,
still have like catheterize because like that's what I got to do to like handle my
yeah,
stuff. Like
yeah, yeah,
I used to hate that feeling, but then I discovered what it meant. And now that I understand it, and it's my body talking to me, I'm like, heck yeah, man, bring it on, let's
Heck
go.
yeah. I know what's going on. I know what's about to happen.
And Luis said something in the comments, which I just freaking love to death. Is like you said, sometimes I've discovered that the glass is refillable, and no, that is
Boom.
it.
Boom.
Like
Right
if
there.
you
Right
Yeah.
got
there.
over and you're feeling empty, like just understand that it's possible to refill it again.
I
It may
love
take
that.
time to work to one spoon at a time to get that water back in there, fill it up. But boy, oh boy, like you put in the time, you put in the work, I guarantee it will happen.
Yeah.
So man, I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Definitely.
That, that's
Luis is the
righteous.
man. He's part of Triumph family and always, you know, doing cool stuff.
And
Man, it's so
and
so
my
many people helped me early. Like I feel like I know Luis. I don't know if I do or not. I feel like I do, but I know so many people from Triumph and from like Rancho that were just there. Like I said, yeah, yeah. What was it? What's your guys' other co-host's name? I forgot his name.
Bobby.
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 Robert.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was telling you, Sean. I was telling you too earlier, Tom. Bobby initially, like, he was one of the first people too that was like, you know what? I was just like my hands were just like yours back when I could only do this. I couldn't lift. I had no tenodesis at all. My right hand specifically,
Yeah.
and he was like, he looked at my hand. My hand was like this, just wobbling around. He's like, my hand was just like that. You'll be fine. and,
Yeah.
and little did I know, a year later, my hand was way better. So it's like you never know how you're gonna affect people and just influence them. You know?
Yeah, dude, Bobby's the man. I mean, that's like we said before. Like he was the one that came into my room. He was the first one. Like Quad came in, just like had all this positive just outlook and advice for me. Just like like he was all about it and just yeah, he helped me so much in the beginning. So Bobby's
Yeah.
helped a lot of people.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah,
That's something that I discovered too. I was pretty isolated from the disabled community growing up, just by virtue of where I lived. Lived in a really small town. There was like one other para in the town, which like he was this older guy. Which I was friends with him, but I just again, didn't really relate to him that much. So like we're just everyone like, hey, like I talked to him a couple times. We connected on the SCI thing. But when I moved to Southern California, I was doing my CSUN thing for like 2 years. And I started to go to the Brown Center when someone told me about the Northridge Spinal Cord Injury Support Group. And
Yeah.
I was going through probably one of the most severe depressions of my life. I had been down here for a year. I just moved out on my own and it was hard. Like my body was changing. Like I was having to like learn how to be independent in ways that, like I didn't think I was even possible for me. But it was just a lot. It was so overwhelming. I was lonely. I didn't know anybody down here. It was a big move. It was crazy. And my disability was taking a toll on me more than it ever had before. And I
Yeah.
just didn't know how to deal with it. But thankfully, I had the wherewithal to reach out and I called Dr. Rednick at Northridge Hospital and asked her about the spinal cord injury support group. And she said, come on down. You didn't even need to call. Just come on and join us. And I went and I met Andrew and I met the Triumph family. And, I met cool people like Sean and stuff. And it opened my world and changed my life. Like 1 hour, one afternoon, it it changed my life. It gave me such perspective. It like just knowing there's so many other people out there that like living this life and like doing it just like I was. And, like out there that all this support, all these people that I could talk to and lean on and stuff. It was just crazy. Like I instantly felt this incredible weight like off my shoulders that like I had this support that
Yeah.
this community, this culture that like I didn't even know existed.
Boom.
And then the things that I've discovered and done in like the 5 or 6 years I've been involved in Triumph, from like scuba diving to playing rugby to doing all this crazy stuff. Like, it's nuts to think about, how just one day, one afternoon, learning and getting involved in this community, this like incredible, beautiful community and culture, like open up so many doors and make such a positive change. So I think that's really kind of the big, big takeaway from the talk is if you are feeling isolated out there, if you're having a hard time, even if you do have support from family and friends in your life, it can be really, really profound and really something something different, something very meaningful to reach out to other individuals in the disabled community who are, similarly injured to you. So remember that, and know that no matter where you are now, anywhere in the world, you can join our Triumph support groups. You can reach out to us one on one, and happy to video chat. And, make a hang if that's not your scene, whatever it is, because it's really important now more than ever, I think.
Heck yeah. Can I give a big shout out to Core real quick? So Core, the Center of Restorative Exercise, I found them early on. That's literally my second home. I love everyone there. Like, they're like literally my blood. Taylor Isaacs is an amazing kinesiologist.
Yeah, he's
overall,
awesome.
He was one of the biggest influences in allowing me to grow too, and everybody who believed in me early on to be like, you know what? Because like when I came into Core initially, I told them like I just want to push a wheelchair by myself, and they were like, all right, let's get you there. And once I got there, I was like, man, now what can I do? And we work all the time. I haven't been there because of quarantine.
Yeah.
Lately, but they're still open. They still do at home workouts. They do, like over the phone and like Zoom conferences where you can learn workouts at home too. So, Core in Northridge, the Center of Restorative Exercise, they're amazing.
Yeah, Core Center of Restorative Exercise. Yeah, they are awesome. If anybody wants to look them up, check them out.
Hey,
great facility.
Too close to the end here. I do got a couple questions about your passion in life, Casey Beats. Aka Cesar.
Yeah, we'll get.
I want to talk about if we can like go over a little bit, Sean. Like, I'm really curious about your music making, man. I got a couple questions about it. Like, what do you do? How do you do it? How's a quad? Like post? Are you sitting there with your SP12? Like recording samples? Like mixing beats, or like what are you doing?
So what's crazy is this, bro. So like initially, like I said, I couldn't project my voice for more than 2 seconds, and it's still hard when I want to do like crazy, like really intricate, I guess you could say like pockets that I want to rap in. I'm getting really nerdy rap on you right now, so just listen for a second.
But like, oh, good, dude, do it.
So there's certain ways for you to rap on any beat, obviously, and when I want to do a line, and I want to do like a certain like a helicopter, I want to kind of like bend words a certain way. I just do it differently, and I record chopped up verses. So like one thing I remember, Lil Wayne said this way back in the day. He said, I don't write anything down. I just, I get in the booth and I do my thing. And when he said that, I was like, what does he mean by that? Because there's no way you're this intricate with your metaphors and your similes and your verbiage, and you're just going off the top of it. There's no possible way. But what I learned over time is he literally is just in the booth and he'll press play and press stop. So like,
and then they'll just chop it up.
So like, if my first line is "Peace of mind, homie, ain't couldn't cheat. I could have classic out the dome, would let that bleed." I'll say it just like that, and then I'll stop after that last little part and go and let that bleed. And then I'll continue from that last part. And it's kind of like little mini paintbrushes, like I'm Jackson Pollock. Like I'm sitting there, I'm just dabbing on the canvas. You feel me?
Dude, I love it, man. That is
so that's what I do now. Where I it's almost like it's a process where like if you were watching me do it, you'd be like, this guy's not doing nothing, because you'd hear me blurting out a line every 2 seconds. But then you hear the song put together and you're like, oh my God, this is a full record with a hook, a verse, a bridge. He has things in the background, my ad libs, whatever. And you realize later on, because like for me, I'm a vocalist, so I might dabble in making beats. I understand how to, but it's definitely not my science, and it's not what I prefer to do.
Yeah,
I prefer to vibe and like create the record, because like I said, your voice is an instrument, and that's the hardest thing that I had. I had to come back to, like, how am I gonna project my voice? Because the way I'm talking to you right now isn't the way I rap. Obviously, like I put a lot more passion in my voice and in my tone of voice. But I guess, long story short, brother, I use an iPad to record now, so I don't use a computer because it's a lot more buttons to press. I kind of just use an iPad, and I use headphones connected to my iPad. And if you put me in a booth with any professional producer, I can go in there and make a song within a couple of minutes. Just because, like, I feel like it's like, Kobe shooting a jumper. Honestly, I feel like I've prepared so long. I've been making music so long now. I've been working by myself to where when opportunity meets the preparation that I've put into this, there's no way you can't compare me to the greats, I feel. And that's just my own perception of it, where I'm like, I think I'm the best because you have to, or you're not gonna, yeah.
sure, man, dude. I'm about it. Yo, I do want to. I got to shout this out. So I'm a big hip hop head, man. Like
Thank you.
I like listen to too much hip hop, bro.
Yeah.
But my favorite hip hop artist, MF Doom, passed
MF
away.
Doom, rest in
Now,
peace.
yeah, rest in peace. Got to say that on the show since we're talking about hip hop. But no, man, like that was cool. The first thing that I thought of when we were having you on and stuff, I like just couldn't get out of my head. Like, does he just like record like individual bars and like just kind of chop it up or whatever? Like, how does he
Yeah.
do stuff? Like, what technology is he using? Because like I have a buddy that like loves to like rap and like do all the like make songs and stuff. It's such a cool science. Like I love to learn how quads are out there doing it
Um,
different. So that
I've
is so
always been so self-reliant as far as recording in my process, where like I before my accident I was dabbling with like painting that way, and I say painting, I mean recording that way.
yeah.
I was dabbling
Well,
with
that's
that,
your
but
art. Yeah, no, I got
yeah,
you.
yeah. So when I figured out like, yo, this really works, and I came back to it after my injury, it made my voice sound that much better because now every single I take every single part of my voice into account. So when you guys hear a song now, I'm not just putting up something that I think is mediocre. I take everything into account as far as the breaths I'm taking, as far as the spaces in between words, as far as if I'm rhyming too many of the same words on each song. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing a lot more of this small, tedious work, but it's something that I've really fell in love with. And
Dude, that was the craziest thing that I learned. Like my buddy, I mean, he breaks it down to like the syllabic structure. Like each
yeah,
of how the syllables rhyme and stuff, like down to like the individual parts of the words and stuff, dude. Like like you said, the spaces in between, the timing, how it all flows. Like, and that's the amazing thing. And that all it takes is your mind. What I mean? Like simple
boom,
tool technology. Like nowadays with iPads and touch computers and stuff, like you have the
boom,
capacity to touch something and you have the mind to see deeper into what like a rap is,
exactly.
stuff like you have the ingredients to put it together and to, like you said, make something great. And that
Yeah.
is freaking cool, man.
I think I think I think what the part that sucks the most about music in general, and it's not that it sucks. It's just it's different than before because music and information is so readily available. So like you can make the most great song that you might think is amazing, but like it might not ever reach the platform because music is so accessible that like it's expendable at the same time. We don't listen to music the same way. We don't think of it the same way because now everybody has computer generated vocals behind. And here's the thing, the industry has literally confused you, and by you I mean just the mass public. It's
Yeah.
confused us, and it's created this sense of what music is now. Notice every single artist that pops on the radio now, you have to have some sort of vocal computeration behind your voice.
Yeah, but it's crazy saying because I could like show someone like who's not really that into music, someone like MF Doom, and they'll listen to me like, "What is this like weird guy?" Like,
You won't know what he's doing, but if you're some
like this odd like beats underneath.
bruh,
But dude, like the art and
mm,
the way that
boom,
he rhymes, like the intelligence in his like rhyme schemes, and
it's next level.
it's
It's like
unreal, dude.
it's
And it's like
it's
he's
it's
like,
it's like this. If all three of us were, if all three of us were watching an MMA fight, then not all three of us, but like us and three random guys, whatever. One of us is gonna be stupid and be like, "Man, I could punch that guy and I could win the fight." Like you're only seeing one part of what this person
exactly.
is doing.
We are
You're
not
so so
seeing
you're, so
art.
you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna punch Conor McGregor in the face." No, you're not, sir. I don't care if you're
No.
380 pounds. That's still Conor McGregor. He does this every day. It's just,
Exactly.
you know,
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. Yeah, I think it actually the way you do you broke down how you have to do your like bar by bar and stop. Like I feel like that even takes even like extra skill, man. It's like so. I'm sure you're a extremely skilled artist,
Well,
bro.
it's
thank
just
you,
like
bro.
what he said.
Yourself.
It's like the what it forces you to do, what it forces you to break it down to a level that most artists don't break it down to, and you
Yeah.
analyze it at a depth. Whereas someone who just goes into a booth and like spits, one like their one song, they just drop their bars, right?
Yeah.
They do it in one take or whatever, and then they talk into a computer with a producer and just let them do their thing. Like that, it feels less connected. It doesn't feel as meaningful. And I don't know, like someone who listens to that better. I say better
Wait,
people are.
you know
It
what it
just
is though, bro?
feel it different.
It's longevity, bro. Exactly. You feel it different, and guess what? You can always come back to that. So my biggest thing is this: you can't come back to a song, even if you love that song, it doesn't feel the same 2 years later
Dude, straight up.
as it would if you go back to Pac, if you go back to Nipsey Hussle, if you go back to MF Doom, Mac
Warren
Miller,
G.
Dude. Warren G, any of these people who you go back to and they use their voice as an instrument and not the computer. It's different. It just is. And I'm not saying that like it's not about like using the biggest words or being like diabolical, whatever you want. It's not about that. It's more about feeling, and in the same way a saxophone creates a noise based off feeling is the same way I think people should create.
And it's kind of what this whole episode has been about, man. You can feel the passion that this artist has for what they created. I mean, when I listen to like an MF Doom song, dude, like I listen to a Pac song, I can feel the passion in the words. I can find meaning in that 40 years later and listen to it 1,000 times. And that's just what you said, dude, that longevity, that was it. That's what makes it art. That's what makes it something different, is the passion you can feel and it's translated through that. So,
yeah. Cool. Heck yeah, brother.
Cool.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, you guys. That's great conversation. I think we can probably start to...
I was gonna say,
we could probably talk about this forever, but just...
Yeah.
I just like had to go there. Thank you, anyone still listening. I just had to like nerd out on some hip hop since we had this awesome guest on today.
Yeah, no, I mean that was honestly like we kind of like that was really what the show was about, and then we got passionate on our passion for the community, so we kind of got a little off topic of the music and stuff. But yeah, no, dude, that was part of it, is to showcase. And if anybody wants to follow Cesar, his Instagram's on the thing right now. It's in the description as well. KC Beasts. So
got like a SoundCloud or something too. Like where
so you guys can find all. Okay, so I have a SoundCloud.
All on his Instagram.
My most recent project I just dropped. It was post injury. It's called Rise. It's on Apple Music and it's on Spotify. So if you type in Rise and then you type in True Story, TruuStory, that's my rap name. It's my alias now. And I went with that after my injury. It's because based on a true story,
I'm going to try to send the Spotify link to Sean, and I'll see if he can toss in the link after the video.
Love that.
Anybody who listens after the fact should be able to just click the Spotify link. I'll make sure to send that to you, bro.
Yeah, I'll put it in the description. I should have had that in there right now, man. My bad, but yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's no biggie. I just want to make sure that's Spotify. I mean, I don't know if you have Spotify. That's why I said I was going to make sure I send you the link. But if you do got Spotify,
I figure Apple Music and Spotify, almost everybody has them. So
they got the
all
basic
my stuff. All my stuff's on there. And I have a lot more. Music I'm releasing pronto. It's just that was one of the most This to me is my most important piece of work. If I was to ever, let's say, people are like, "Oh my God, become a renowned artist," this would be the piece that I think people look back at as like a defining piece for me, because it's 8 songs. And every song pertains to not only my injury, but what led me up to this point. Strong body of work, and I stand by that.
Brandon, I do love fanboying. That's true. I like dope artists.
We all do, though, right? You know what I'm saying? If I'm a fan of you guys the same way. That's the thing. I think music is so relatable. I can talk music all day because I'm such fans of so many artists.
Yeah, no doubt. And I just think it's I think it's really cool. I mean, it's impressive to me. Like that kind of art, I don't know, like it inspires me. Like, I mean, I'm like I said, I love music, but I'm not a musician. So, like when I get an opportunity to like talk to someone who can like make that art, I'm like, oh my God, like that is cool, crazy stuff. And I love my like favorite artists for sure.
I think you'll definitely love my work, bro.
And I'm super stoked to check it out.
Thank you, brother. I'm excited. I'm excited to get some feedback, bro. You gotta let me know what you think, both of you guys.
No doubt, man.
Yeah, no, for sure, bro.
For everybody for watching. Thank you, everyone, for joining us week after week. All the newcomers, all the people that keep coming back. You guys are the best. You guys are so awesome.
Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, thank you guys. We're here every Tuesday at 3:30, so check it out, watch. And then we got the women's show every third Thursday of the month. So make sure to check that out as well.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Live to Roll. It makes a
Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Live to Roll.
That's right.
The key to life.
That's it.
Heck yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you guys next week. And live to roll.